This is the channel Learn History While You Sleep. Here, you'll find immersive, softly narrated stories from ancient civilizations, medieval empires, and forgotten corners of history, all told in a calming tone designed to help you relax, unwind, and fall asleep. Each episode is crafted to blend education with rest, transforming bedtime into a gateway to the ancient world. New videos weekly. Topics: Rome, Greece, Egypt, medieval Europe, lost empires, and more. Let history guide you into dreams. Subscribe and start your journey through time while you sleep.
As the world quiets down and you prepare to rest, let me take you on a journey. Not to the Rome of emperors and battles, but to the streets, homes, and rhythms of everyday life in the Roman Empire. Forget the marble statues and grand speeches for a moment. Tonight, we travel not with Caesar, but with the butcher, the baker, the bathhouse worker, and the child learning Latin on a wax tablet. This is the Rome that lived and breathed behind the scenes, the daily life of a civilization that ruled over 50 million people, from the misty hills of Britannia to the deserts of Egypt. So close your eyes and step into a day in ancient Rome. The first thing you'd notice in a Roman city is the sound. Rome was loud, filled with merchants shouting prices, animals pulling carts, street musicians, children playing, and the constant echo of sandals on stone. In fact, wealthy Romans often complained in their letters that sleep was difficult because of the clatter of wheels on the paving stones at night. The city of Rome itself was home to over 1 million people at its peak, making it the largest city in the world at the time. Imagine that, a bustling metropolis in the 1st century AD, lit by oil lamps organized into insulae, apartment buildings often 5 or 6 stories high. Yes, apartment buildings. While the wealthy lived in domus, single-family homes with atriums, mosaics, and private gardens, most Romans, over 90%, lived in cramped rental apartments made of wood and brick. Fires were common, collapses frequent, and space scarce. A typical Roman family in the lower classes might live in one room, sleeping together on straw mattresses, with no running water, no private kitchen, and shared latrines. Yet even this was considered normal, even fortunate. The day usually began at sunrise. Romans were early risers. Shops opened, markets buzzed, and forums filled with activity. The streets were lined with tabernae, small shops that sold bread, wine, cheese, olives, pottery, and even books copied by hand. The Roman diet varied by class. For the poor, it was simple: grain-based meals, lentils, chickpeas, onions, and occasionally fish. Meat was rare and expensive. They ate a kind of porridge called pulse, made from spelt or barley, sometimes flavored with herbs or olive oil. The wealthy, however, dined lavishly, enjoying dormice, peacocks, oysters, flamingo tongues, and imported spices from as far as India. Their banquets were social spectacles, with multiple courses, reclining couches, musicians, and elaborate performances. Bathing was a central part of Roman life, not just for hygiene, but for socializing, conducting business, and relaxing. Public bathhouses, or thermae, were massive complexes with cold, warm, and hot rooms, exercise areas, libraries, and gardens. Admission was cheap, sometimes even free, because emperors subsidized them to gain public favor. In fact, by the 2nd century, Rome had over 900 public baths. The largest, the Baths of Caracalla, could hold over 1,500 500 people at a time. After bathing, many Romans would stop at street food stalls. Ancient fast food existed, called thermopolia, where workers and travelers could buy hot stews, bread, and wine. Work in ancient Rome was divided sharply by class and status. Slaves made up a significant portion of the population, as much as 30% in some cities. They were bakers, scribes, tutors, miners, cleaners, and even accountants. Some were treated cruelly, others earned their freedom after years of service. A freed slave, known as a libertus, could become a wealthy businessman or even hold local office. Free citizens worked in trades, shoemaking, tanning, pottery, farming, or military service. Soldiers, especially in frontier provinces, could earn steady income and land after retirement. Women, though not allowed to vote or hold office, ran businesses, managed households, and were essential in textile production. Wealthy women had more freedom, attending banquets, owning property, even sponsoring public buildings. Education in ancient Rome began early, especially for boys. They learned reading, writing, arithmetic, and rhetoric. They wrote with a stylus on wax tablets and studied the works of Homer, Virgil, and Cicero. Girls were educated at home, focusing on household skills, though in wealthy families they too learned to read and write. Discipline was strict. Teachers often used rods for punishment, but literacy was surprisingly widespread. Graffiti on Pompeii's walls proves that even average citizens could write jokes, poems, or complaints. Entertainment was everywhere. Romans loved drama, music, dancing, but most of all, spectacle. The Colosseum could seat over 50,000 people. It hosted gladiatorial games, animal hunts, public executions, and mock naval battles. These events were free, funded by emperors and politicians seeking popularity. The Circus Maximus held chariot races, drawing crowds of 150,000. Betting on teams, red, white, blue, or green, was a passion across all classes. Children played with dolls, wooden swords, spinning tops, and even board games similar to checkers. Many of these toys have been found in tombs, remarkably preserved. Religion permeated every aspect of life. Romans worshipped dozens of gods, Jupiter, Mars, Venus, Minerva, but also household spirits called Lares and Penates. Daily rituals included offerings at home altars. Public festivals were constant: Saturnalia, Lupercalia, and Parentalia. These brought days off, parades, masks, food, and gifts, like an ancient version of Carnival mixed with New Year. By the 1st century, new religions spread rapidly. The cult of Isis, Mithraism, and eventually Christianity. Many Romans were suspicious at first. Christians were persecuted under emperors like Nero and Diocletian. But by the early 4th century, Christianity was legalized and later became the empire's official faith. The Roman calendar was complex. The year had 365 days, with leap years. Each month was structured around market days, religious observances, and legal deadlines. They even had their own week, an 8-day cycle known as the nundinum. Clocks were rare. Time was measured by sundials or the position of the sun. The day was divided into 12 hours of daylight, meaning an hour could be longer or shorter depending on the season. And yet, for all their advancement, Romans lived under constant risks. Fires were common. Floods from the Tiber River often swamped neighborhoods. Disease spread easily, especially without sewage systems in poorer areas. Medicine was primitive. Doctors followed the ideas of Galen and Hippocrates, focusing on balancing the four humors. Some treatments involved leeches, herbs, or even dreams. But Rome also had aqueducts, underground sewers, and public toilets. Their engineering was unmatched. Many aqueducts still stand today, silent witnesses to Roman ingenuity. So now, as your body relaxes and your mind drifts into sleep, picture a Roman child walking to school with a wax tablet, a vendor setting up olives at his stall, a family gathered in a cramped apartment sharing lentil stew, a senator reciting Virgil under candlelight, a crowd roaring in the Circus Maximus, a woman lighting incense for her household gods, and a city of over 1 million people breathing as one. This was ancient Rome, not just of emperors and armies, but of daily life, ordinary beauty, and quiet moments. Sleep now, and let the echoes of ancient footsteps guide your dreams.